What was the question?
The question was, how do I take more control of my life without being dependent on others?
Okay. Now, that's a very important question because we're going to cover those ideas over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to rephrase that question. My form of answering that question is, how do we manifest on a very high level? On the level that's necessary for us to get where we want to go. Now, is that a fair evaluation of your question? Okay. Now, you understand we're basically saying the same thing. Because whether we want better relationships, we want better money, a better life in general, or specifically better health, how do we manifest those things to create the opportunities so we can have it in front of us? Now, this has consumed me over the last week and a half. Now, that story that I gave you a couple of weeks ago about having the patient thinking about the product that he needed and feeling that energy going through my body and not saying a word to the patient, not saying anything to Mary. No one knew about that product that he needed it. And then 2 days later he calls me telling me that that product found its way into his bag. And that somehow, Mary picked up the information from, what is this? It's an antenna. But it's a living antenna. It's a living antenna that's being powered by brain, heart, and spirit. And the energy that went through my body was so strong that he needed that with such conviction that it went right through my body. That information went right to Mary, and I didn't plan on that. But she's very, she believes everything we're doing, so her antenna is tuned into mine and vice versa. So it was very easy to pick up the signal, and then without even thinking, she just did it. Now, the other story that I had was about the family that had the 12-year-old girl who attempted to break into Hollywood as an actress. For over 50 casting calls over 4 years, nothing is happening. They've flown her everywhere in the country to try to break her into Hollywood movies. 2 weeks before she has her last casting call, the father of the family calls me. And he said, what can we do to maybe give her an opportunity here? And I took him through this concept of sending the information of a fair evaluation of the people that were going to decide on her career for this casting call, sending that idea through his antenna system into that group of people that will be evaluating her in 2 weeks. Well, you've heard the story, but long story short, she got the part, and she just finished it. Okay? The movie will be coming out next September. And now, what's interesting is now they're calling her to have an audition in Hollywood for additional parts. Now, this has never happened before to this family. So the commonality between what happened to me and happened to him, when I asked him, what did you do? He said, I could feel the energy going through my body, and I could feel it going all the way through, and I was sending it to these people. He was using the antenna concept. Now let's go back to us. How many people here have ever had the situation occur where you want to communicate with someone? There's someone you want to talk to, and for whatever reason you were busy, and you never got around to it, but within a few days they're texting you, calling you, or somehow appearing on your doorstep. Has that ever happened to anyone here? Would you raise your hands? Okay. Now, what did you do? Your brain agreed to that concept, your heart was involved with it, your spirit said it was okay, and it sent out a very powerful, coherent signal that was picked up by the person who evidently wanted to speak to you in some way, shape, or form, just like Mary got my signal, and they responded. Now, the real question is, why is it that we can do things like this, and when we have real difficult questions like what Larry's asking, what we are really asking, why is it it's so difficult, or at least it appears that way? Is that a fair question? Okay. Well, I put a lot of energy into this, and a week and a half ago, I had a dream. And in the dream, I think it gave me a good part of the answer. We're going to go through this tonight. Now, we have already a lot of parts of the answers from what we've been currently doing. It starts with the antenna system. Now, we're familiar with the antenna system. We're familiar with the fact that brain, heart, and spirit must be working together. Now, we've worked on this concept for weeks, and our thoughts, if they're agreeable through all of these mechanisms, sends out a very powerful signal. But what happens when we truly go for what we want? Why is it so difficult? Well, we're going to discuss that. And what happens is that there's a breakdown. Assuming what we want is agreeable to spirit. Now, we've got to make that assumption. Otherwise, why would we want it, right? It has to be agreeable to spirit. But then, what happens? There's a breakdown. In every person I've tested 20 people so far since this idea. In every person, there's a breakdown either at the brain level or at the heart level where it cannot sustain that type of energy. So, in effect, they may be destined to have it, according to spirit, but the breakdown prevents that energy from going through the body. Interesting idea. And it also breaks down in a very specific location. If you are a brain person, meaning that you think first, you feel secondarily, it breaks down in your brain. If you're a heart person, like I am, and you feel first and then think secondarily, it breaks down in your heart. Now, I have had a few people that have been so weak physically that it's broken down in both places. But even if it did break down in both places, there is still a predominant one. They're either a brain or a heart person, and that's the one that's broken down the worst. And if you correct the one that's broken down the worst according to their dominance, the other seems to come right back into line. Now, I've been doing this for myself, because I'm a heart person. Now, I don't have any heart problems, per se, and yet, when I was testing myself, my heart was weak when I was thinking about what I really want. It would actually go weak. So I've given myself, and I've worked in two areas that we're going to work on tonight. In order to bring this brain or heart back into alignment, we have to work in two places. And this is for every issue that we have. We need an energetic solution, and we need a physical solution. Now, the energetic solution is a lot of what Susan's been talking about over these weeks. The different methods that she's been describing are parts of an energetic solution. And of course, using a vibrator or anything else that sends energy into the body is also part of an energetic solution. And part of a physical solution, well, it's part of supplements perhaps, diet, exercise, water, sleep. It could be any of those things. But remember, you have to find out what you need for yourself. So we're going to take you through this. I'm going to take you through this tonight, step by step. We're going to go into this next week, so you don't have enough time. But does this sound kind of interesting? And I really think this is the answer to why is it that we have trouble manifesting what we really want. Well, let's go a step further. All mind-body medicine, everything that they've been describing over the last 25 to 30 years about mind-body medicine is explained by our concept. It's all explained by this. Every health problem that we have, every money issue that we have, every relationship issue that we have is because this antenna system has broken down in some way, shape, or form, and we'll see this tonight. And correspondingly, then the organ structures associated with it have broken down also. And unless you support the entire system, energetically and physically, and deal with what's necessary to get this system up and running again, from what I'm seeing, I don't know how you're ever going to achieve what you want. Am I making sense of it? Okay. So, I'm going to get a volunteer up, and as I've always done before, Sharon, would you want to volunteer? Okay, now, let's bring you right here. Now, I'm going to do this right here. And you may want to maybe stand up a little bit around here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm doing most of my muscle testing on this side. So if you need to see what she's doing, you may want to get up and just move around on that side of the room. Okay, here's how we start. We're going to go back to basics. Remember what we do with basics. We always begin with our muscle test, right? To make sure that she's in the correct polarity and she will respond correctly to our questions, right? So what do we do first? Ask for permission. May I muscle test? Thank you. Okay, and I'll start with this arm. Okay, and what I'll ask her to do is I'll ask her to think of her full name. I am, and she'll think of her full name. I want her to resist me. Okay, and I'm going to push down your arm. I want you to resist me, Sharon. Ready? Resist me now. Resist. Okay, very little to no give in that shoulder. I'll do it again. Okay, resist me again. Resist. Good. Now, what am I going to do next? What do I do next? I'm going to interrupt. Very good. I'm going to interrupt. Okay, so think of your full name. Resist me now. And there's no strength at all. And she's trying, but there's no strength. And you can feel the difference, right? Good. Okay, so that's a healthy response. That's healthy. Now remember, for any of you where it's equally strong, like here and without that spot, if it's equally strong in both cases, we got a problem. And if by now, after these weeks, it's equally strong, you want to talk to me, because that means that you're going into adrenal overload, too much stress. We really have to do something so that by next week, we get a good, clean test. Is that clear? So please let me know. Okay. All right, so now we're free to move on. All right? Now, what we're going to do tonight, and this is all part of the dream, we're going to have her write 2 words. And maybe if you would write 2 words, living well. It's 2 separate words. This opens the door into her energetic systems. And thank you. Now, whatever that means to you, Sharon, I don't care what that means. I just want you to think about living well, whatever that means. Let me know when you have the idea. Okay? All right, now, I'm enjoying all this. Thank you. With what she's thinking, is it big enough for her spirit? If I test her now, will she go strong or weak? If I test her spirit. Okay, okay, you say strong, that's good. Okay, what do you think? Strong or weak? Shall we find out? Good, big deep breath. Okay, here we go. All right, now she can hold that card right there, right at the base of the ribs, just like we did before. That's good. Okay, right, ready? Okay, so think of living well, and resist me now. Now, I'm not pushing hard, and that's about the same strength as when I touch right here. Is that fine? Okay. So, and that's why I was enjoying this, because she has an idea in her mind about living well. Her spirit wants her to have more. More. Okay, more. Okay. So if she tries to get that, whatever she's thinking, that was good, and if she tries to go for that, already her spirit is saying, I'm not giving that to you, I want you to have more. Why waste my time? Let's go for it. So let's go for it. Let's open it up. Think of living well, bigger. So automatically, she'd stop herself. Okay? Remember, you're going to start testing the idea of living well at the level of her spirit, about an inch below the navel. Okay, keep going. It's too small yet. Make it bigger. And how do I know it's too small? There's no energy going through her body. It's stopping right about there. Okay. Let it go through, Sharon. Even bigger. Now, you don't care how this happens, how it's going to occur. That's not up to you. Bigger. Okay, now it's down to there. Okay, bigger. More. More money. More time. More opportunity. Keep going. Bigger. Okay, now she's got it. Now she's got it. Can you feel the difference now as compared to just a few minutes ago? Can you feel the difference now or sense the difference now? Can you sense it? Yeah. Okay. Can I have you bring the card back? Okay. So think of it now. Resist me now. Resist. Now I'm pushing firmly and you can feel the difference. Can you see the difference? Okay. Now that is the minimum that's necessary for her to achieve her destiny. That's the minimum. Now in a few weeks or months, that may change. It may get bigger. Okay. I doubt if it's going to get any smaller. So that is the minimum idea, and I would ask her to write it down, whatever this is, to write it down clearly. Whether you're a heart person or a brain person, I don't care what you are, but I would ask you to get a book and write down what this is that's in there so you never lose track of that. Is that fair? Yeah, that's the first step. Okay, now we have 2 other areas that need to work with this, because if brain or heart's not going to agree to this, we're wasting our time too. Right? Okay, well, let's go to heart. You'll hold that back, right there. Okay, now, you don't have to touch their body. You can just hold your hand at the level of the heart, Okay, now think of living well. Resist me again. Resist. That's strong. It's very strong. That's really good. Now, it looks like slam dunk. Now she can go out, start manifesting whatever she wants, and great story, right? Come back in a couple of weeks and take us all for a ride in your airplane, right? Okay. But we're not done yet. And I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up, okay? Now you tell me, is this young lady a brain or a heart person?
Brain.
She's a brain person. At the time when she was born, and that's what you do, you go back to that. At the time when she was born, she's a brain person. Now you don't have to know that. You can just go up and down and test. But again, I'm giving you a lot more information. We'll go through some of this later tonight, but let's see. Let's see if she is. Shall we? Okay. So think of that idea. You ready? Resist me now. She can't even hold up her arm. Now, think of what this means. We know from past history that we have to check spirit. We know that. But now I'm finding, what I'm really finding is that when we go for it and we get what we want in that spirit, now I'm finding our predominant way of viewing this world, whether you're a brain or a heart person, breaks down each and every time. Now for the small things, like getting this bottle of supplements in someone's bag, or having someone call you, or like for my friend, he got his daughter into the movies, and that was a big thing. But now he's asking the same question you are, Larry, about his own life, and he's having trouble there. Okay? For the big things that we want, for the things that we are purposely designed to have, for some reason, our predominant way of viewing the world seems to break down. I'm not sure why, but I've seen it now in every person. If they're predominantly brain, it breaks down in brain. If they're predominantly heart, it breaks down in heart. And I'm going to tell you this right now, the way you were born and the way you decide to come into this world, either as brain or heart, it doesn't change. Now, you can, if I'm a brain person, I can work on my heart and I can have strong feelings, but I'm going to tell you, you still are a brain person. And if I'm a heart person in the beginning, I'm not going to be a brain person. Later, I'm not going to be that way. I tried that for 18 years studying science, and it created nothing but problems until I went back into a heart. Then used my brain. So by understanding who and what we are, and then optimizing that in our field, we also are very successful. So what do we do with Sharon? Well, there are two ways to repair this. Energetically is one, and the second is physically. Okay? Physically. Okay? So let's go energetically, and we'll just check something. Think of nice music, whatever nice music you enjoy. That also is thrilling, stimulating, makes you think a little bit. Do you have any music in mind? Okay. Could you think of that type of music? Good. Very good. We don't have to know the exact composer or the tunes, but we have an idea. That could be enough. Let's test. Okay, so imagine you're doing that. Okay, resist me now. Resist. Strong. Much stronger. And let's throw in a little relaxation there while you're doing it. Okay? Imagine that. Okay, so relax a little bit. Maybe you're by a stream. You're listening to music. Okay, let's test that. Watch the difference. Resist now. Very strong. Let's go back to spirit. Does your spirit agree with that concept? Because again, if spirit doesn't agree with that concept, we're wasting our time. Let's check. Okay, ready? Think of that concept. Resist again. Even stronger. And let's go back to heart. Okay, same concept. Resist me now. Even stronger. Now, how does it feel to imagine yourself being by a stream, listening to that music, relaxing, not having a care in the world for a few hours? And what does it do to the energy going through your body? That's right. You feel more relaxed. The energy would go through much more easily. And this is what I'm asking us to do right here. I'm asking us to optimize the quality of our life. But again, this was the energetic part. What about the physical part? Well, let's see what she wants us to do for that. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go to her spirit. I don't want to waste time. So let's imagine we put this right up there. So if you put that right up there, Sharon, if you'll hold that with your free hand, that's it. Okay, shall we? Okay, so just think of your full name. Okay, ready? Resist me now. Resist. Very strong. Resist again. And you can feel how strong it is. Let's check our heart. We'll do that again. Just to make sure our heart agrees to that. Resist again. Very strong. Let's check her spirit. Resist me again. Very strong. Very strong.
And that means that's good for her.
That means it's not only good for her, but it also means it's good for her spirit, it's good for her heart, it's good for her brain, it's good for every part of living well at the large level. Because now we have a unified, now we have an antenna system. We have an antenna system that is fully functional at all levels. Brain is sending out a consistent signal, strong signal. She's a brain person. Heart is sending out a very strong, consistent signal. Spirit agrees with everything that you're thinking and feeling through here, sending out a strong signal. Now we also need one other part to this. We need passion. You got to go for it. You got to believe that this is going to work. You got to put it on the line. Okay. You just don't do this without believing that there's a chance, and then going through whatever you need to do. You have to meditate. You may have to show up somewhere, like my friend's daughter had to show up for the interview. Okay? You may have to just think about it like I did, and there it is in the person's bag. But I'll tell you one other story here that you'll find interesting. About 2 weeks ago, I get a call from a person I knew in New Jersey, maybe 30 years ago. We had mutual friends, but for 30 years he hasn't contacted me. But then he gets in touch with me, and he tells me that in the last 3 months he's had 2 major heart attacks. 3 months, 2 heart attacks. Now, our mutual friends know what I do. So he called and he said, is there any hope for him? Because his medical doctor said he could go at any time, and they don't know how to stabilize him. So we were talking on the phone, and because this was a desperate situation, I went for it, and I explained to him these concepts. He began to get it. Here's what happened to this man for over 25 years. He is a heart person working in a brain institution for 25 years. Now, he's done very well in this field. He's made a lot of money. He's well recognized. He's done a lot of work. But he found the same thing that I did. You cannot be a heart person in a brain institute and work as a brain person for 25 years without damaging yourself. His heart was asking for him to liberate himself and get back into being a heart person. So he said, what am I supposed to do? He's on the phone, like, what am I supposed to do? I can't do this, I can't do this. I said, wait a minute. I said, wait a minute. Okay, how long has it been since you've ridden a bike? Just a bicycle. It goes over 20 years. How long has it been since you've gone out into the woods and enjoyed yourself in the woods? 10 years. Okay, here's what you do. This was last weekend. I said, you go out, you buy a good bike. Go out into the woods Saturday and Sunday, you enjoy yourself, and you call me on Monday. Like last Monday. That's part of the therapy. He goes, are you crazy? I got a heart problem. And I said, that's why I'm doing this. You're right, I am crazy, and you're going to die unless you do this. Because there's no reason to live. You're living as a brain person, not as a heart person. So I said, you've got to have enjoyment. So he does. He goes out Saturday, goes out Sunday, he's enjoying himself. He calls me Monday morning and he tells me, Dr. Berman, I feel like I'm 15 years old. We are keeping ourselves back. First, by not recognizing who and what we are and honoring that. It's not one version. It's not that a brain person is better than a heart or vice versa. That means nothing. What means everything is, how do you view the world, and are you honoring that? And then, by the time now we want to go for it, like living well, we've damaged our primary mechanism so much, brain or heart, so much, Then now when we say, now I really want to go for it, it's going, I can't do it. I can't help you unless we help it and recognize this. Am I being clear? Now, I don't know about all the miracles that are going to happen to all of us right now. But I gotta say, unless we start here, I don't believe we have a chance. I don't believe we can do it. At least not the way we've been thinking, conventionally. Now, if we were to check her also for maybe organ function, could it be possible that some of her organs have gotten weak because this system and her belief that she could have a better life, maybe that's broken down, and maybe in the process of that, maybe it's also helped create organ problems. Is that possible? Darn right it is. That's the basis of the energetic, physical, medical system that we're creating. The mind-body interaction is the basis of it. But if we don't have a reason for this to work, do you really think her brain or my heart is going to let me go out and do something that it can't do? It'll give me a heart attack. She'll have an aneurysm. You see what's at stake? So, is it interesting? Interesting. Thank you. And I'm curious, what are you sensing now about yourself as compared to when you were sitting in that seat? You tell me, what do you see now?
She has both.
Yeah,
There's more energy from
yeah,
one more light.
yeah. More smiles. Yeah, a lot lighter. And eventually, if you keep working on the heart, all these things, you'll sense all these things. But right now, you can see it. Just like my friend who went off into the woods on his bike. So,
I may have just missed the point completely. So she's a brain person, and she used to work on the heart. Is that what you said?
no, I'm sorry. Right now, her brain, if she wants to manifest,
Right.
and her spirit said what she wants to manifest is okay, and her heart says, yes, I'm strong, then we'll find that her brain needs help.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if she wants to take it a step further than that, and she wants to sense things maybe at a higher level, she'll have to do more work on her heart, but she'll have to do it in a way that's okay with her spirit, and now we have to retune the entire system. We have to check brain again, check heart, and we have to check spirit. But that's what we want to do anyway. Until we get so good at this, we know this. We don't have to keep doing this.
Right.
Okay? You see what I mean?
I do now. It's about the sensing part, yes.
Okay, but have I answered that? Yes.
So what exactly, we got to work on our brain, and I'm a brain person, so obviously. What is the work on the brain? What I saw that transformed something here was, think about it, when we got to, she was blocked with the living well.
Okay.
And bigger, bigger, bigger is what you were saying.
What she was saying?
Okay, that was the transforming piece.
From spirit.
Okay,
We have to start with spirit first.
okay, right, and that was in tune with spirit, but she had to get the whole thing going,
Right.
because,
We have to start with spirit.
okay, so that's how we know what the desire, what the thing that's gonna get the passion
Got it.
attached to it is.
The formulation, if that is correct, the ideas associated with that thought process, the specific ideas, so we can have a starting point. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Okay.
Well, what is the repair on the brain? It's like, okay, she
Now what?
needs her.
What do I do?
What is that
Okay.
that we do to repair the brain now
Okay.
that,
Well, whether it's the brain or the heart,
Right.
Thank you. Doesn't matter which one. Both of them need an energetic form of support or energetic forms of support. Like Susan was doing a lot of work with that with you. Okay. And there may be other things that we're not aware of right now. batch flower remedies. It could be going to a certain place in the world. It could be going to a certain institution or listening to someone who knows how to work with brain functions, things like this, getting a light and sound machine. It could be any number of things right now in terms of energy. Okay? But again, how do you test that? Well, thinking of light and sound machine, if I bought one, I would test it through, does it work with my heart? Does it work with my spirit? Does it work with my brain? I should be strong. Whatever I test in that regard, energetically wise, should be strong all the way through. Music for her, lying next to water, relaxing was strong in all three areas, which may need other forms of energy. Being out in the sun more, taking a vacation, doing more R&R, maybe using batch flower remedies, any number of other things could occur there. I'm building that.
Yeah.
I'm building that. Okay, and how many do you need? How many separate items will you need? I'm not sure right now. I'm not sure. But even that we can test. Even that we can test. Do you need 5 items? Do you need 15 items to do? You can test all. Okay. Now, when it comes to physically, what does she need? Well, we checked this product, Brain Mood is what she needed, but is this all she needs? Of course not. There'll be other things that she needs. But you go back to the basics. Diet, water, exercise, and sleep. You start there. Then from there, and then we'll test to see which of those she needs. Because the one that she needs will be strong in all 3 areas. Okay?
You put what turns out to be brain mood, she put it here with the card, living well card. Is that what you would do every time, or would you be testing it in all 3 areas?
I would test it in all 3 areas. The chances are, if it strengthens the weakened area, for her brain, for me it would be hard. If it strengthened the weakened area, it would work well all the way through the axis. All the way through. That's what I've seen so far. Now, there may be cases here. There may be cases where people are very physically weak, and even though she's a brain person, she may also test weak at the heart at the same time, as I've seen that in 1 or 2 people that were so energetically low that they couldn't support any type of idea about their future. They didn't have the energy to do that. Everything was breaking down. Now, that's completely different than what I'm describing. Now, if that occurs, let me know. But even if that does work, even if there is such a situation here, since she's a brain person, I guarantee you, if both areas broke down, forgive me for pointing, but if both areas broke down, it would still be her brain that would be the weakest, and heart would follow. For me, it would be my heart would be the weakest, my brain would follow. So if I supported my heart and got that strong, most likely it's going to impair my brain. Opposite situation for her. This is just a week and a half of yeah. But I think, yes.
How would you know if you're a brain or heart person? Could you guess wrong one, or not guess wrong? Could you always thought you were one and turns out you're actually the other?
Oh, of course. That's if you've been stuck in a situation for any number of reasons. For me, doing science for so many years, being in a brain orientation for so many years, I actually thought I was a brain person. Okay. It's easy for that to happen. Trauma in childhood can cause that. Situations in relationships can cause the reversal. Anything can cause the reversal. However, even though you may think that, when you come up here and you test a reasonably healthy person, okay, you'll find that once they come up with the idea about what they deserve, living well, and it's strong, just like we did before, that spirit is strong, then you're going to find that the area that's the weakest, that's the true orientation, from what I've seen so far. No matter what you think or anyone else thinks. That's what I've seen so far.
Can you say that again?
Okay. All right. You are, what do you think your orientation is? Brain or heart? When you were born? You notice I kind of prepared you. I said, think. What do you think? I set you up. Okay, you're a brain person. You're a brain person. Okay, when you were born, you chose to be a brain person. Okay, so most likely, if we were to test her, she was thinking about living well, whatever that means to Cecile, whatever that means. And then we test her spirit. When she has that thought, we test her spirit, and she thinks largely enough so that when I test, it's strong. When I go up here and test heart and brain, 99% chance, her brain will go weak, no matter what.
Okay, so the brain is the one that is in my way, so to speak.
As a brain person.
Uh-huh.
I'm a heart person, my heart's in the way for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And there
Well,
could be...
that's what I thought, that the brain was the one in the way that was stopping me.
That's right. And you notice you used the word thought. That's right. Thank you. Very good. That's right. And how do we get past that? And this is another important point here, because we are going to go to this next week also, but I just want to introduce this to you right now. We'll go off and we'll start doing this. Whether you're brain people or heart people, I don't care what you do, but the first thing is, once you know what that idea is in your spirit that makes you strong, that is very strong, once you know what that is, it's important that you write it down. I don't care what your orientation is. I don't care if you're a brain or a heart person, but you write it down in a book. And then you start thinking about how can I create the steps necessary. I know what I know what my spirit wants me to have. Now I start creating a plan, whether you're a heart or a brain person, to get there. What are the steps? What are the steps to do it, to get there? To have what it wants me to have, what are the steps? Now you might say, well, I don't know what the steps are. I don't know if they're right. Well, that's why you have a partner. So you write down your steps and you test the steps.
These are the steps to prepare it, not the steps to mechanically take action to achieve.
Same thing. Same exact thing.
Well, I guess my question is, let's start with the first question, which is she needs to write something down in the book. Is that in big, broad strokes what living well means to her?
Exactly.
Because what you said was, how that happens is not for you to, that isn't your
Right.
concern right now. What is your concern is the big, broad thing.
Right.
And you've got to paint a picture of something that then can, we can figure out if it's going to resonate. So what you're writing in the book is a broad brushstroke
Yes. Yes.
description of what living well would mean to me.
Or it's as exact as she sees it or senses it in her brain. Living well to her.
Okay.
She has an image of what living well means. It could be very specific, it could be very general.
Okay.
It's according to the
Okay.
person. According to the person.
Right.
Okay. Now there's one other factor here. There's one other factor that we have to bring into effect here. Heart. Now I don't care who you are, brain or a heart person. Unless you have the motivation, the enthusiasm, and the just will to do it, and the enjoyment about doing it. Like this gentleman who called me back on Monday. He feels like he's a 15-year-old. He can't wait to get back out on his bicycle again. Now he understands why for over 20 years he subjected himself to living as a brain person, even though he was very successful. But now he has the emotions as a heart person to power going back into work and enthusiasm, because now he knows that he can have a life outside of work as a heart person. Now, even if you're a brain person, you have to create a plan. And the plan has to be exciting to you for the plan. And you have to know that that's right, because you're a brain person. You need an organization. But that organization has to bring you to a sense of, I can really enjoy this. I'm very happy by doing this. I really want to achieve, and I'm giving myself permission to achieve this. So whether you're a brain person or a heart person, we have to have that enthusiasm. You've got to give yourself permission to go for it. There cannot be any stopping this. And then we have to create a plan to get there, no matter who we are, and the orientation of who we are. Making sense? And I can tell you that since I've been doing a lot of extra work on my heart, I've come to realize this because I've had a picture in my mind of what I wanted, but I didn't have that strong emotion. I mean, it was just like a theoretical concept. It was like holding up a black box and getting excited about a black box. I couldn't get excited about it. But now, after really working on my heart, giving it nutritional supplements, doing energetic work like certain musics, going out and doing other things out in nature again, but doing these things at a strong level, last Sunday I finally got the emotion associated with what I want. It was that powerful. Okay, and I realized that's the power I need because now I know exactly what I need to do, but I needed that power to get there. And that's the power I'm talking about in all of you. Regardless of orientation, am I being clear on this? Or am I being clear? Okay. So no matter how great your idea is, if this is a theoretical concept to you, well, you're wasting your time. And if you have a lot of enthusiasm about a plan, but you don't have an idea of how to get there, you're wasting your time.
How did, you gave us some examples of things you were doing that sort of kick-started the passion. Tell me more about that process. How do you kick-start the passion when, you know, you can't manufacture passion, is my view of the thing.
Okay. Well, there's all...
Excuse me, I'm a brain person, but even that I don't think my brain can do.
Well, that's a very interesting question because
You don't
I
think
realize...
you can.
I don't think it can.
And this is good. This is very good. So my friend calls me.
Maybe I can.
He calls me, and I'm giving him information about how to save his life. He's a heart person. And I realize I'm telling him what to do. He's in my life. I better do it myself. So I get on a bike, and I go out into the woods, and now I'm going down these hills, and I'm enjoying myself like crazy on these hills. I'm just enjoying this whole thing. And suddenly it occurs to me that this is the emotion I've been looking for. It just came. I mean, maybe it's obvious there, but it just came to me. This is what I've been missing. So I thanked him when he called me on Monday, because he helped save my life.
So in other words, we have to try different things in order to find out what gives you that emotion that we need.
That's exactly right. And what they are, I wish I could answer that for each
That's
person.
right.
But that
Everybody's
is...
different.
That's right. Yeah. Go ahead. No, please.
To me, it's kind of what makes you feel good.
Right. And that's true, but is it enough of a feel-good to power this antenna system?
If I would give it to myself enough.
That's right. That's right. And the question is, at that point, you know it. You will know it. But I went through years of knowing that something was missing, and then there's no accident, right? Right?
Don't you think it's, I think of it a little bit like you're thinking and you're feeling getting married, and you're equalizing it more, and then basically that is what your spirit is here to do.
Right. And I would agree with you. And what that process is unique. Yes.
But that passion may also come from something that we haven't experienced yet, because we
That's
have
true.
not allowed ourselves to do that. So
That's right.
we have to be open to new experiences.
That's right. And that's why it's so important, thank you for bringing that up, that's why it's so important to make the decision that no matter what I have to do, I'm going for it.
Add on to that, you gotta stretch beyond what you know.
Out of the comfort
You
zone.
got out of your comfort zone.
Right.
You gotta go.
That's right. And most likely you're right there.
Open yourself to more and better
Yep.
and different.
Yep.
Ruth, I appreciate what you said, though. Now we've got to come up with a plan to get more and better, right? I mean, isn't that what we?
Yep,
take
that's
steps to
why we're
figure
going
it
to
out?
work on this next week also. Susan, would you mind if we were to spend maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe let them go through one cycle of this so they could start?
Yeah.
Okay. what I'll ask you to do is break up into partners. And I want you to go through just as far as we went through, as she and I went through. Remember, do the basic muscle test first. Okay, make sure that your partner is responding correctly. That's number one. Okay, assuming that's done properly and she or he is responding correctly, number two is have them write down on the card the words living well. Living well. Have them think about it. Now, let them tell you when they're ready. Then muscle test their spirit. See if it's weak or strong. If it's weak, they need more. Let them do it again. Let them think larger. Test them again. Okay. And keep testing them until that arm is very strong. Okay. Now, at that point, once that area is super strong, spirit is super strong, it's in agreement with living well, then I don't care where you start. You can start at the heart, and then you can go to brain or vice versa. I don't care. But there should be a significant difference between one of these two areas. Okay. Then, if there is, which there should be, and depending on the side that's having the problem, if it's brain or heart, on this right-hand side, like everything over here is more about brain. Everything over here is more about brain. Everything over here is more about heart. Now you notice I stacked the deck on heart here. Okay. However, I want you to remember something. I could be a brain person, and I may give her a heart formula, and that may correct her brain. Now think about it. Brain needs oxygen, meaning blood. It needs glucose, meaning blood. It has to have a certain blood pressure. It has to have a strong heart. So for some of us, if you find that these three items don't work for the brain, well, try one of the heart formulas, because that may indicate she needs, or he needs, more help to the heart to pump up more energy, more nutrients into the brain. Don't overlook the areas. I'm enjoying this. Okay. So, what do you think? So we're trying? Ask questions. Okay, but next week, we'll pick this up and we'll do more. Okay? Let's get started this week. If you have questions, ask. Sure. Thank you. A couple of minutes to review what just happened. Okay. All right. Now, this has been very important for me to see this. You know why? The bigger sample population. I begin to see things I didn't see before. You know what I'm seeing consistently? If there's an issue about whether we're a brain or a heart person, what I'm seeing so far is it's because we don't or haven't given our spirit enough permission to see the truth. We need something bigger than what we're familiar with. Larry said it. He said, whatever we do, it's going to be different and unique. So our mission is to now really find out over the next week, if you're not sure, how big is this? What is it for you? And it's going to be large enough to make a decided difference between one of these two areas. That's how we know. Roger?
I have a message for the brain people. This is a quotation.
Would you mind standing?
This is a quotation from Albert Einstein, and you all know who Albert Einstein is.
Yes.
Albert Einstein said, "I must be willing to give up what I am in order to become what I will be."
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Excellent. That was very good. Okay. So I'd like to start building on this next week, review this, so we're more at ease with this. If there are any questions? Any questions now? No?
So you're saying where we is 99% chance that that's what
The orientation.
is. What if it's the other way around?
Well, if something like that did occur, from what I've seen so far, what I've seen so far. I would go back to spirit and make sure that I have a big message coming through here, like a big idea of what I'm supposed to do, or what spirit wants me to have. I would test that again. And then I would review the entire mechanism through here. I have a feeling, because I've done that now for several groups, and when I did that, we saw the truth. Okay? So we'll go over that next week. Okay? Well, I guarantee you, when you were born, what do you think you chose when you were born? I'm enjoying this. What do you think you chose?
I thought I was a hard person, but apparently.
You're a brain person. Sorry, you're right.
So, been wrong twice now in both directions.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. That's just the way it is. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to ask you to pray for one of my patients, Mr. Gonzalez. He's going to be going into an operation this coming Wednesday for thyroid and adrenals. So if you would pray for him to recover, I would appreciate that.
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday. Okay, about 12 o'clock, I believe it is. Mr. Gonzalez. All right, so, Cecile, would you mind?